Good morning, good morning. Oh goodness, I forgot my hat. Good morning, Twitcher Alex. Good morning, anybody else that is tuning in. What a beautiful morning, beautiful day, and beautiful start to life. My name's Joseph. I am the Walk 'Em All Poet, and this is the Poetry Studio, to be once again renamed and hopefully for the last time. This morning, I want to start to read with a poem from someone who has actually come onto this stream before. So last night, I had the amazing and wonderful honor of being part of the call-in show for Akira the Dawn, which was absolutely astounding. And once again, the music that we playing on the stream was Akira the Dawn as well. It was so good to see you on the stream last night, says Twitch Hero Alex. Well, it was so good to have you there, of course. And one of these days, we got to get you up on the screen there to see the man behind the heroic wave regulation and vibe regulation in the chat. So thank you again, Twitch Hero Alex. I was actually like waiting for it. I was like, are we gonna get to see Twitch Hero Alex at a certain point? And I am. So one of these days though, we have to at least meet in person. Maybe we should like Discord or something like that. One of these days let's set up and let's actually like chat and see each other's faces and everything. Well, at least you see my face from all this. But the person I am referencing to is Spencer of Grove, who goes by Spencer Barnett on his poets page. So believe it or not, when I went on the stream last night, Spencer messaged me and he was like, dude, that poem was great. I read Akira the Dawn's, the poem that I wrote for Akira the Dawn's 100th stream, live on his 200th stream, which was the coolest thing, and really was just a picture perfect moment, the way I really hoped I could do something like that and celebrate that moment. And then Spencer of Grove messages me on Discord. He's like, yeah, great job. And I saw that he had messaged me like nearly 2 months ago his poetry. And I was like, I gotta read this guy's poetry on the stream. So the poem that I'm going to read today, he specializes in sonnets. This man's sonnets are beautiful. The poem I'm going to read today is called Goddess of the Lighthouse by Spencer Barnett. I find myself seated betwixt the grove. The sun playfully dapples on my cheek. Thoughts of what secrets I keep in my trove sail upon a ship with never a leak. The open sea tastes a lot like freedom, and as mightily warm as sun-kissed skin. Were these temptations known in Eden? Is all of this love really such a sin? But it cannot be, even as the storm does toss the ship, a lighthouse guides me here, to a shore where love comes in every form, where each resident does smile cheek to ear. A ship of compassion without anchor. If you see the goddess for me, thank her. That's powerful. That really is such a good sonnet. Well, it's so cool to open up the stream. So what I had planned today, and I think I'm still going to do it, was I got my own, kind of like the creator type of stream that I do here is I have 2 poems, which I'm still have to finish, chipping away at for 2 weddings I'm doing in October. So as for anybody that's new to tuning in, when I do my typewriting poetry, I sit out on the street, I take requests, but I also can do events. I always have my hat. This is a hatless stream. You don't usually get Joe without the hat. But what was really cool is, so I started working on this poem for one of the weddings that's coming up on, and we're not going to do Dorothy May Kilgarren right now, but I started working on this poem for one of the weddings, and I really didn't feel at home with it. Like, I just didn't have a good sense of what I wanted from the poem. And then I got, this wedding's very organized, I got the entire timeline for the day. So now I know all the things that are going to happen in the wedding, which helps just give a little more insight on some of the concepts I could bring in to that that poem. So I started doing some editing here. I'm going to get back to some editing with this. And we're going to see about getting some poetry. Now, as always, whenever I do my editing or whenever I'm typewriting, I always play in the background some of Akira the Don's music. I want to give him a shout out for, again, being a great lo-fi artist, meaning wave artist, wave lord. So what do we have right now? Oh, this is great. All right. Actually need to, my wife happens to have a second webcam, and I might be able to use this second webcam as a way to be able to show me doing edits, but I can't crowd this whole area with webcams. So I gotta be careful with that. For anybody new to the stream that might be tuning in or listening or watching, the vibe that I like to bring in here is one of, I mean, I'm excited. I'm always excited to be doing this, but it's a lot more like easygoing, entering into the morning mellow. But one of the things that I'm hoping for the future, it's not something I'm so wildly needy on. Look at this. Well, so it's 10:30. Is having the, over time, the chat be a place where people can muse on their own poetry and kind of talk about different writing ideas and stuff like that. It'll be cool as this channel grows. Which that's one of the things that is going to be the next big project for me. Is really resuming incremental improvements. Now that I've reached a 50 follower count. So with levity, laughing when you steal all your words, along with my heart, red so campaign launch. So we have launch here. So part of the metaphor is firework. So I'm gonna break up the poem a little bit. Launch, soar. And I'm kind of writing it up on the side here. Like I have launch at the top, soar in the center, and explode. So that way I kind of know to rearrange my images so that it almost feels like the idea that the cool thing here, and the secret is that the wedding's gonna have fireworks. Nobody knows fireworks apparently. It's just like a little bit of a keeping it under your hat type of thing. But like as there's a lot of other images floating in this poem, there's a lot of personal anecdotes. Oreo stealing makes a note. Wine. There should be an underlying theme that I'm trying to get to. I'm trying, which is the method of firework. So I think that I've marked up this paper pretty well. If you can see it, it's actually full of words scrawled in the sides. So I think it might be a good time for me to move to the typewriter and give this a shot. Now, what would be extremely helpful is paper. Paper would be helpful, right? You would not believe how many times as a street poet and a typewriting poet and a poet and doing all those things, how often I don't have paper. I do have it today. Today's fine, but I actually one time ran out into the street and I did not have any paper at all. Like I totally forgot the folder, and I had to ran into one of the restaurants and I was like, "Can you provide some paper for me?" And all the poems that day were torn in half, 8.5 by 11, and it was I was disgusted with myself. And one of the words that I'm looking for here, so the intersection between patriotism and fireworks. They were going to have their wedding on the 4th of July. That didn't happen. COVID happened. Maybe I want to capture some of that spirit. Oh, I just accidentally knocked my camera out of the way. One of the things that my poet friend, my MFA friend, we were talking about titles yesterday, and he said to me, your title can be a key into creating what's called middle distance with a poem, which is taking a concrete theme, which is very close, like a poem about flowers, writing all about flowers, and taking it and stretching it into being more symbolic. So what I'm also going to try to go for here, no promises, but I'm going to try to see if I can loop an overarching understanding of the American dream into this patriotic poem, firework related, about two wonderful people getting married. And so let's jump in. Now, if any of you have any questions, I don't know why I don't have more tags in here for ask AMA. I gotta add more tags in for this. There were a bunch of good tags. Talk, maybe? Yeah, I don't know why all those weren't in there before. I don't know if they show up now, but... Placement here is not something I'm worried too much about right now. See, does that make it easier to see the phone? I think that ultimately both lights off are right now the best strategy. I gotta get myself cover this a little bit so it's easier to read the text. Might also get some typewriter repair streaming to it. Don't you love it when you could, kill 3 birds with 1 stone? Not literally. So one of the anecdotes that they mentioned is streaming The Office. And so I had a Netflix and chill vibe I want to throw in at a certain point. So streaming Rockets and streaming The Office. It's corny, but like these double and triple meanings, like, you know, when we're deconstructing it and writing a poem, it's like, aha, that's funny, it's a pun. But when it actually slips in there and is nice, it really brings a lot of joy to the people that might be listening and reading and rereading later on. Oh no, oh M's.
Just to symbolize I have an extra line spacing I want to put in there. I need another I word. This is very fireworky. A fireworky I word. See, these are the questions that poets ask of the world. What is a word that starts with the letter I? It's very fireworky. It's funny how those, that like, what we're searching for is like a unique word, a special word, a particular way of word, for lack of a better word. I really do think that this is starting to strike it, though. And I definitely need to get this out to them by this weekend. Like the forest surrounding us with ideas, inspiration, and now we need to close. Because we burst here, like the forest. But it's not forest. Something about plants. It's not too grounded because she has plants, and so we need to reference plants. What's a beginning theme I can something about Nope. Dang. Zach the Somniac, good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am stuck, and I do not know how to end this poem. I'm close.
What this poem is this is a poem for a couple getting married, which has a firework theme to it. Has been a firework theme throughout. And so like I've reached the point where, like, you know, when a firework bursts and it showers the sparkles, I'm trying to think of the proper metaphor. We've talked about a lot of different things here, and I feel a little lost. Let me see. I can figure it out. But if you have any ideas are always welcome. I mean, that'll work for now. All right. So, this poem, a rewriting of a poem that I started writing on a stream for a while ago. Hero, a Team is the name of the original poem. And we're going to lower our music as I read. Sparkles that... So the poem is written in a we voice of first. Oh, wrong thing. Sorry. It's written in a we voice. So my decision landed on it's because we have so believe it or not, I have sparkling eyes in the second line of the poem. And I wish that I knew how they met, because then I could put something else there. Or I could even take sparkling eyes and move it down. Or something. Yeah, I think we are good, actually. But thank you so much for the idea in terms of those eyes. You had it, because believe it or not, that was the second line of the poem. So I was already going that direction. So I really do appreciate the mind meld that's happening with that. Yeah. The last, and you'll hear the last line that I decided on in a second, which is based off of a line she told me in her email, telling me some of her personal details, which is that she cares about the little details. So this is American Dream. Ignited by those gleaming, sparkling eyes, is a loyal love ready to soar. Take on the future together with that coast-to-coast tenacity, preserving liberty by touching eternity in our embrace. A team soaring, launching that campaign with streaming office levity, even when you steal all the Oreos, along with my heart. They don't know what's coming. The world will be thunderstruck. Our vine of life climbing the trellis of the American dream, wrapping our ambitions, jokes, and collaborations high in the global sky, and burst like the greenery surrounding us with ideas. The greenery immersing us, with ideas, inspiration, showering sparks upon every little moment we share. So the line that I ended up deciding on was every little moment we share, because the poem started with ignition that ignited, went through ready to soar, and kind of did that. Oh, thank you so much, Twitter Alex. I said that was really cute. I hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you so much for everybody helping with in the chat and just everything being part of this. It's so cool to have people to be able to bounce this on. Now, question, if anybody does want to answer, were there any other things that you got out of that poem? Any other meanings that you felt you could pull from it, even as someone that was not a member of the married party, or is this poem very specific to the married party? I'd love to hear thoughts on that. But regardless, that is a done poem, which is exciting. Now, I do have some time,
7:42, and we have a good crowd here. So I think I'm going to try to draft a poem about Dorothy Kilgallen, which is another project that I've gotten a request for. But thank you so much all for tuning in. And if you have any other thoughts on that poem, ideas, reviews, let me know. So, Dorothy Kilgallen. Why am I writing a poem about a random journalist who died in 1965? And the reason why is because somebody asked me to do it. And it's this random person that emailed me. His name's David, and he was just, I don't know what it was, but he's very eclectic guy. Was talking about all these different things, and I finally kind of like was trying to email back and forth. You ever have those people that just are talking about everything? And I finally was like, what do you want a poem about? And he said, Dorothy Kilgallen. So this poem about Dorothy Kilgallen, it's going to be a one-shot. This is going to be no reviews, no edits. For people that do not know who Dorothy Kilgallen is, she was an American journalist and television game show panelist back in the 60s. I think she is probably the equivalent of, I don't know, if Ann Coulter were less political. I don't want those, I think, but and a lot nicer. I'm trying to think of someone that's maybe more apropos. Like, I'm trying to think of who is like a female journalist nowadays that is very well known. I mean, there's a lot of female journalists, but like. All right. So let's write a one-shot about this. And she does have a star on the Hollywood Mall, which is Hollywood Boulevard, which is exciting. And if anybody has any requests, I'll take requests now. Frankly, I'm not feeling up to the Dorothy Kilgallen poem. This was a very left field request. I might write this one on the street. I might actually not write it until I get onto the street. But does anybody want a poem about something? Any requests? We have a special moment. Our request days are usually Wednesdays and Saturdays, but we have some time this morning, and I could write one more poem if people are feeling inclined. I do like how that other poem turned out, the American Dream poem. I think that's onto something. I need to trim this paper. This paper's not the right size. Thank you so much, Twitch hero Alex, for that I think that one of the things that I really do want to do is make this as interactive, open to interaction as possible. And the one of the things I was going over with my friend, helping me learn more about poems, is, and this is what the editing stage is going to start getting into, is the difference between what the poet wants to say and what the people hear. Now, that's not always a bad thing. You know, if you accidentally write a poem about the truth and justice of the universe and you meant to write a poem about fish, well, then you kind of scored. But then it can happen the other way, where you want to write this lofty poem, and what it turns into is something else, which is not what you wanted, and is less, I don't want to say lofty, because loftiness isn't the goal, but less on point. And then sometimes there's left field type of interpretations, where you write a poem and then you didn't realize it could be interpreted that way. One of the poems that I previously had written on the stream, it was actually the one where I took the Dover Cliffs poem and reimagined it. And I reimagined it, and we were going over it in our conversation yesterday, and my friend said, "Did you write a poem about global warming?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, that's an interpretation." And he showed me how many people could interpret a poem about global warming. And I said, wow, I didn't even realize that. And so keeping an eye out for that, I mean, it's not always going to be a thing that you can do, but getting people's perspectives, maybe without as much, and I talked about planning the poem on the stream, the American Dream one, but getting people's perspectives on what do they really feel about this poem is, I think, a great way to be able to just channel that vibe and see what am I actually putting out there. And then if people say, "Oh, you wrote this poem and I really feel a lot of sadness," and I'm like, well, I didn't intend sadness.
That's a good way to kind of start sensing more how my words are having their impact. And it's just a growing thing. Like, it's all construction. It's all, everything is everything is relational, says Alan Watts. Everything is relational. And let's see here. Now, believe it or not, you may have noticed that I do not have Alan Watts's. Actually, here, I'm going to lower this a little bit. I'm going to see if I can get one that's more Alan Wattsy. Ooh, this is a very intense playlist right now. Oh, this is perfect. That's good. This is a vibe that I'm going for right now, writing a poem about relation. Alan Watts's Watts Wave 6 is not in my playlist. And the reason why is, and I don't even know if Akira knows this, but it does bring up copyright hits when Watts Wave 6 plays on YouTube, which is cool. But I always credit Akira on these streams, and it's his music, not mine. So that's part of the reason why Watts Wave 6 doesn't play on these streams. But right now we're going to write some poetry. And I love ethereal poems. It yeah, it doesn't it doesn't actually block. WatchWave 6 doesn't block my videos. Which is fine. It demonetizes them. But none of his other songs demonetize. And I haven't if I ever am actually making buckets of money from these videos with its songs in it, then obviously there would be some sort of, I'd reach out and let him know. But I'm not at that point. I don't think I'll ever be at that point. But my hope is that I could monetize the videos a little bit, and so, but it's not a, it's wholly owned. But I guess whether he does or he doesn't know, it's set up for demonetization, which is perfectly fine. And if one day I ever want to stream one of those songs, I'll do it. It's just, knowing that that's the case. But it's just really good to be able to still have him be so generous with his music. And if he's ever not, I'm fine with that too. It's really just gratitude, as we all know. And one of the things I want to write on, which is a really interesting thing that I was thinking, is that I really do believe in the genuineness of the gratitude of the Maz community. I wouldn't want someone on the outside to look at us and think we were posturing gratitude. And it was something I want to one day dive into a poem. I can show you what came up with me with the demonetization. I'll send it your way. But it's interesting, gratitude. And it's a concept I was really thinking about last night, because we were all being very thankful and gracious to Akira, and we always are. And we're all being grateful and thankful to each other. And like there's a fear. It's just a fear that rises up in me. It's like, oh my goodness, we're all being so thankful so publicly. Like, are people going to get the wrong idea? And I want to give people the right idea. And so I really want to write on that. Like, I want to dive into that challenge, that problem. And it's like, oh, well, why are you trying to find the, don't look a gift horse in the mouth? It's like, no, but I really want to find, the poet's supposed to dive in the difficult parts, parse out those words, and make them into something. And so I'm really excited for that too, and that's something I've just been kind of thinking about. But thank you to Achiro Alex for everything that you do for both the Maz community and here. Why would it be viewed as anything other than wholesome and humbling? What came up, and it's just, like those self-doubts that come up, is because it's so much, is that people might come in and they might think, are they doing this to sound good? But I don't believe that. I mean, I know that you don't do that, and I know nobody in the Maz community does that. But it's that perspective. It's a, what does Alan Watts say? It's a certain point of view that people could have. And anticipating that point of view and being able to dive deeper into dissecting it and showing where it leads and why it's not a good point of view is something that I'm just, kind of intrigued me last night when I was thinking about it. Because I think about what other people might be thinking about Maz or myself or the world, or, that's I think it's a good exercise to be aware of those things, but not to let them govern you. I hope that comes off as good. I don't want to come off as something that's doubting, but that is at least like a, to be aware of those things. Yeah, but in no way am I actually saying that about the Maz community. It's more of, there's that certain point of view out there, because there's, what it is Maz is a very genuine thing, and when people meet that much genuineness, they can't believe it. Like, I think not necessarily that all people can't believe it, but I know that there are people that have trouble believing that, because it's one of those things that marks our age, is a sense of what is, is there things that are even real? There's a nihilism that's out there. I don't know, I'm rambling about that, but instead, let me read this poem about relation, and let me bring down the music. It's just a poetic, like, I want to explore that. Like, it's not even something where I need to. It's like, I just get curious about all those different things. And just like that, like, you know, like there's challenges I like to explore, and then there's beautiful things I like to explore. And this is one of those beautiful things, relation. Found, held, seen across the world. Time and space transcend this chew, this million to one binding of the atoms, the vibrations, the patterns. Excitement and contemplate how no one is alone. I see his lips moving to the words that inspired. I see the dancing of every citizen following bliss. I see you, the all the way down starfire inside, baked like an apple pie into the universe. The most meaningful moment of the stream last night was when Savage Chill talked about how the song If really meant so much to him because he had not heard the words, "You will be a man, my son." And that was really striking when he told us that. And then Akira's playing the song, and Akira profiles him on the stream, and you see him saying those words over Zoom. It was just, crazy. Really good. Well, thank you so much, Tochiro Alex, for being here. And thank you for everybody that tuned in today. Also, big thanks to our friend, scrolling up through the track, Zach the Somniac. If you like what you saw today, feel free to follow the channel. And tomorrow is going to be our poetry request day. And regardless, it is great to be here. Thank you again so much for being part of this stream. You all have a great day, and next up is the Akira the Don Morning Show. And yes, Twitter Alex, that little moments like that do make this a genuine community, and that might be the answer to my point of view quandary that I have been merely musing about. And I think I'm going to really take that and I'm going to dive that into a poem. Of course, thank you so much.
Akira.